Let's kick things off with a question. When was the last time you failed and actually celebrated it? Sounds odd, right? We're wired to see failure as an endpoint, a verdict. But what if I told you every setback is actually a prototype for your next breakthrough? In psychology, there's something called the growth mindset. It's the belief that abilities aren't fixed, but can be developed through effort and learning. Think of failure as the raw data like a diagnostic scan after a crash that tells you what to fix. Now, you might be thinking, sure, Daniel, but what about those epic mess-ups that make you want to crawl under a rock? I get it. I've been there. But let me tell you a story. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 0 ways that won't work." Here's the setup. You try, you stumble, you're embarrassed. The conflict? Your brain screams never again. But the resolution? If you reframe failure as feedback, you start mining every flop for gold. So next time you fall short, ask yourself, what's the hidden blueprint this failure is trying to hand me? Because buried in the rubble, there's the foundation for your next level. All right, let's get real. Failure hurts. That emotional sting, it's not just in your head. Neuroscientists say your brain processes social pain much like physical injury. Here's the setup. You botch a presentation, your heart races, and your mind spins with self-doubt. The conflict? We tend to bottle these feelings or let them spiral. But unresolved, this emotional backlog builds up, just like unaddressed error logs in computer code leading to bigger crashes later. Now, you might be thinking, isn't it better to just move on? Actually, no. Let me tell you a story. I once ignored a flop, only to have it haunt my confidence for months. When I finally sat down, journaled out the pain, and named what I was feeling, it lost its power. The resolution? Emotional debriefing. Grab your phone, hit record, and talk it out. Or write it down. By processing the loss fast, you clear the cache and make room for fresh action. So here's my challenge. After your next setback, don't just soldier on, pause, and process. You'll bounce back stronger, not just faster. Let's dive into the next layer: pattern recognition. Have you ever noticed how certain types of failure repeat themselves, almost like deja vu? That's your personal algorithm at work, running old scripts. The setup: you keep missing deadlines or falling into the same arguments. The conflict? Frustration builds, and you start to label yourself, "I'm just not disciplined," or "I always mess this up." But here's the technical bit. In data science, there's a concept called feedback loops. If you don't analyze a loop, you'll keep getting the same output. Your life's no different. Now, imagine if you zoomed out, mapped your last 5 failures, and asked, what's the common denominator? I did this with my podcast launches and realized my prep process was always rush classic input-output problem. Resolution? Once you spot the pattern, you can rewrite the code, swap self-blame for curiosity, and use each repeated failure as a clue pointing straight to your next upgrade. Here's where we shift from analysis to action: rapid prototyping. Think of your life as a series of test runs. In product design, a prototype is a quick, rough version to test ideas and gather feedback. The setup: you've reflected, you've processed, you've seen your patterns. The conflict? It's tempting to wait for the perfect moment or the flawless plan. But perfectionism is like software bloat: too many features, not enough shipping. Now, you might be feeling, but what if I fail again? Let me tell you, iteration is the secret sauce. Each attempt makes you sharper. Here's my playbook. After a flop, identify one tweak and test it immediately. When my teaser tanked, I reworked just the intro and relaunched fast like a beta update, not a full overhaul. Resolution? Action beats overthinking. The faster you prototype new habits or strategies, the quicker you transform lessons into momentum. Now, let's talk resilience. Why do some people bounce back from failure while others get stuck? The setup: research in neuroplasticity shows your brain actually rewires itself after setbacks. Strengthening grit circuits, think of it as mental muscle memory. The conflict? If you internalize failure as an identity, "I'm a loser," those neural pathways harden. But if you see it as an event, you stay flexible, ready for the next challenge. Now, you might be wondering, is it really possible to train resilience? Absolutely. Top athletes use techniques like cognitive reappraisal, reframing, negative event stow, stay in the game mentally. Let me tell you a story. After bombing a live event, I used resilience journaling, writing out what I learned, what I controlled, and what I'd do differently. It rewired my response to future stress. Resolution? Start small. After your next flop, write down 3 things you did right and 3 things you'll try next. That's how you train your brain to bounce, not break. To wrap up, let's talk about failing forward. The setup. Every failure is a fork in the road retreat or re-engage. The conflict. Fear wants you to shrink your dreams, to play it safe. But here's the kicker: innovation and impact come from those who use failure as a springboard. In entrepreneurship, there's a term, pivot. It means adjusting your strategy without abandoning your mission. Now, you might be tempted to play small after a setback. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Let me challenge that. What if your next bold move is hiding inside your last mistake? Let me tell you a story. After my launch flopped, I almost quit. But instead, I doubled down, asked for feedback, and built a new, stronger community. That failure? It was fertile ground. Resolution? Turn every failure into a launch pad. Ask yourself, what's one bold move I can make today armed with everything I've learned? Your future self will thank you.